Hey guys, it's VaulSC here. Hope that you're having a good week. It's time for me to announce the map that we'll be using for the Unmasking mission, which will be played in round number 3 of the Infinity Tabletop Simulator League Season 3. As usual, there are going to be 3 different ways you can get this map. Number 1, you could just look at the maps channel in my Discord and download the map bag, which I'll be posting shortly after making this video live. Second way is to go to my workshop, which has my official map collection, and it'll just be the one at the top, so just drag and drop that into your game. And thirdly, I will make a workshop, and I might overwrite one of the previous workshops and just have that there, so you can just load it up, click of a button by going games and finding it under the workshop options right there to the left. So, it's important that you watch this YouTube video because instead of leaving a note card for this one, I'm going to just be talking about it on YouTube and just explaining as many things as I can about this map to avoid any confusion and to avoid any arguments between you or your opponent or any unfair scenarios coming up during the game. So let's go through it. First of all, this map began as a creation from our map champion Bad Lazor. This green alien facility looking XCOM thing is mostly done by Bad Lazor. I've edited the assets and moved a few things around, added some lights. But the map originally had the floating asteroids out in space around the other side of it here, which isn't very practical for a real game of Infinity. So what I've done is I've just replaced all the assets around the back and made that my own. What you've got is essentially something that looks like an alien facility in here, and then perhaps the humans have sort of built a base around it as they are excavating it or discovering it or, assuming control of it. So if there's anything that you don't like about this map, it's Bad Lazor's fault, and if there's anything you like about this map, that's me. So just bear that in mind at all times. Alright, so it is Unmasking. These 3 pillars here are the consoles. I have put a little bit of text on top of them and put lights near them. So basically, walking up and touching them is how you'll press the button and allow you to discover one of the enemy HVTs. A lot of people are immediately going to be asking about this drop pod plane over here. So on the text I've written, you can deploy on this, but only if the full undersurface of the base is flat. You don't have to be too strict with that, but I'll just give you some examples. This walker here, if I just drop it, it's pretty clear that it's just flat on the surface there, so it could deploy there. That is deliberate. You get this long fire lane down the left, and you see through the entire deployment zone over here. And if you deploy him over here a little bit more, like he's still flat like this, or she I should say in this case. I'm just going to choose myself a color. So you will note that this position can even see inside through those 2 windows there. With this map, I'm playing it that if you can see through 2 sets of doorways, that is legit. You can fire straight through them. It's not like my other maps where you can see through one window but not a second one. So this aircraft here, this drop pod, is very oppressive in terms of a sniper tower, but I want everybody to know that the walls will be considered infinitely high. So if you do put your Noctifer here or your missile launcher and a link team here, your opponent can actually avoid this for the entire game, and that's what balances this position. That's what makes it acceptable to me, because these 3 consoles, you can reach them without ever coming in line of sight of this aircraft here. Even this one over here, you could deploy an infiltrator in the corner, and then reveal them and just put them there, hit the button, nothing your opponent can do about it. From their deployment zone, they have to defend some other way, and you turn on that console. With the other 2, same deal, you can turn them on. Also, we'll get to the positioning of HVTs later, but your opponent's going to have to put HVTs in positions where they can be shot at without ever coming into line of sight of this. Also, Unmasking is a mission where a lot of people like to choose turn order. If they do that, they will not have this deployment zone here. Additionally, there are some benefits to this deployment zone. You might prefer this deployment zone because there's still plenty of little bits of cover you can put things prone behind. It's still possible to defend it. And more importantly, you can actually set up snipers and things to be able to see both sides of these 2 objectives rather than just covering one objective over here. So for that reason, you might actually prefer this blue side, and I've tried to balance the map in that particular way. So I want everybody to bear that in mind at all times, please. Now with these objectives here, sorry, these terrain pieces, obviously they've got small gaps in them. Obviously we're not going to be allowing you to shoot things like directly through the little gaps, so just bear that in mind. Like our other maps, we're not going to be allowing that kind of silliness. Next, with doorways, if you are a tag, your tag is too tall to fit through the doorways, but for this map I am going to be ruling it that if you are skinny enough to fit through something, you're also going to be short enough to fit through it. Therefore, we will allow tags to move through the doorways normally like this. Even if you're a Maghariba guard, I'm going to allow that as well. What the tag can't do is fit through these ones, which are smaller windows. Other troops can just vault through them normally, as if, you know, they weren't there effectively. So you got your Aquila guard, pick him up, he can vault through it normally, end up on the other side, that's fine. It's just that models that are bigger than Silhouette 2, Silhouette 3 won't be able to fit through. So I'm basically saying no for motorbikes and really large remotes like Bulleteers, S5, 6 and tags, you've got to steer clear of this. But for your Silhouette 3s, Silhouette 1s, Silhouette 2s, you can go through that. Similarly with the smaller windows and smaller doors, this is really going to be Silhouette 1, 2, and 3 only. Anything above that's not really going to be able to do it. As always, guys, do have a conversation with your opponent before the game starts and just clarify these things. If you guys both agree to play it a different way, you can play it a different way. But just bear in mind, for global rulings, Silhouette 1, 2, and 3 can fit through the smaller stuff, and Silhouette 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 can fit through the bigger things like that, like this, like this. These ones here, that is okay. So hopefully that makes a lot of sense with the doorways and areas like that. I'm going to turn on the grid now and we'll just have a conversation about HVTs. This is a mission where HVT placement is crucial, so I've been very careful about it. Note that if you count 4 squares up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, you've got to deploy beyond this line here. I've made it possible to just barely get your HVT through here, which is a strong position for it. If I get it in there very carefully, I'm just going to have to nudge myself. This is the Vaul HVT, as you can see. So if you nudge it, your HVT can legally be placed there. The reason why I feel that's fair is that your opponent can reveal it and shoot at it from way back here if they really want to. So is it a safe position for the HVT? Not really, not really. But if you're the player taking the red side, you can put your HVT a little bit further out, like here. In which case they have to come all the way to your side of the table to be able to shoot it. It's closer to the enemy, but it's a little bit more concealed. So you're going to be making an actual thoughtful decision about, do you bring him back here? Can he fit here? Well, if he does fit here, that's fine, but he can be shot at through there. It's a difficult decision to make. Same with these spots right here. If you put him here, he can't quite go too far on the side, and you certainly can't fit 2 of them there, and your opponent could just probably shoot him through all the way through that line. Excuse me. Having a bit of a sneeze. All right. Now on this side of the map, there is a position right here. That might be obvious, but again, your opponent can shoot at it through the safety of this area here. And there's really only space enough for 1 HVT. If you put 1 over here, again, it's going to be visible from this side, but at least you're going to be defending it from this top area. So bear that in mind. If you are all about defending HVTs, maybe the red side's the way to go. But then again, a lot of people like to take first turns so that they get the first opportunity to control the center of the board and kill HVTs and set up mines and crazy koalas and things like that. If you happen to be the player on the other side of the table, I've also made life a little bit difficult. One of the premium spots for your HVT is here, but there's not really enough space to fit multiple HVTs. I've made it deliberate that this one would kind of be banging into the obstacle there, and therefore you can't put it there. So there's space for 1 HVT. There's not enough over here, and if you put him out here, he's just out in the open. He can be shot through that corridor. So that's one place that he can go. You could put your other one here, but again, there's a pretty good angle to it just coming through around the side here. Pretty easy to shoot it. You can deploy it further up the board like this, but again, he's further into your opponent territory, makes it harder. And then you could also put a couple of HVTs over here, but your opponent might have an easier time just moving up there and shooting it from the red side table. So I've put a lot of work into this map. I've made it so that you have to think a little bit about where your HVTs go. You do have to think a little bit about whether you want first turn or whether you want table side, because there's a pretty good argument for both. Play some practice games with this. You're welcome to ask questions about the map in Discord, but please make sure you've watched this entire video before you've actually done that. I had a practice game on it. It looked like a pretty good map as far as I was concerned. As usual, you can't see underneath things like this plane. It's not really designed that way. And as usual, if you're having a bit of trouble with some of the colliders, just make sure that you lock your model with the gizmo kit and put it in place. Like if you want to get into this corner here, again, you just lock it, F8, click on him, move this out of the way, click on the little green square, and you can just move him around until he's appropriately locked. Then you can bring in your prone marker or whatever it is you're planning on doing with him. And that's really how you navigate your way around the map. Cool, so that is the majority of it. Remember, the walls are infinitely high. You can deploy on this. I've even written a little explanation. If you don't see any text about standing on stuff, then presume that you can. Also note, in the practice game that I had with it, I'll just grab a model to represent this. Where's my Aquila guard here? So unlock. Right around the back of the map, I was asked, can you use the rules to squeeze through this location here? I'm going to say no. The side of the table is not considered a terrain piece. You just can't put any part of your base off the table on this particular map. I know I said the opposite in round 1. I'm changing it for round 3. So you can't walk around the back there, but you can see through the back. So if your opponent's lieutenant is sitting right there and you drop a drop trooper down here, you could move over to this spot and get line of sight to it and shoot it. So that is a feature of this part of the terrain. Technically, you could put something up the top here because that's not infinitely high and the other walls are. On top of this is no worries. You can have a shootout with the walker on top of the plane over there. And that's it. I'm pretty sure I've covered it. There's plenty of places to go prone with things. These tables and stuff do the job quite nicely. So hopefully we have some really good games. Looking forward to playing on this map myself, round 3. Don't forget about the maps competition guides. That is still open for infantries. We've still got several people entered it so far. Plenty more to come. And I'll see you guys in Discord. Welcome to the new map.